So about last week, we posted a teaser for last week's episode about your legs in Bermuda shorts and all of your dreams come true. The general manager of the Bermuda Broadcasting Corporation invites you to Bermuda and has a team ready to film your arrival. Happy Christmas, mate.
I have great legs. I stand by that statement.
Roll out the pink carpet.
I'm Ace Colwood.
And I'm Scott Wayne.
And this is Envoy Recorded Radio.
So staying with fashion, I suppose that the involuntary sponsor of the week has to be Ledbury shirts, because why would the sponsor of the week be Ledbury shirts, Austin?
I don't know. I don't look. So I got a text. My buddy asked if I would be one of the, I don't know, they're doing like a People of Richmond series. And hey, in my defense.
You're missing the phrase model. You're a model.
No, I wore a shirt. They took a picture. It's different than
That's
modeling.
what modeling is.
That is very specifically different.
Hey, if anybody ever says to you, just take your clothes off and lean over this barrel, don't treat that as exercise, stretching. Call it what it is.
Well, I'll put that in my
There we
book
go.
of advice.
So anyway,
There we
Ledbury. Now we've ruined that image. Ledbury.com.
There are no barrels involved in this modeling shoot. I'll cop to it being modeling on that point alone. All right. It was fun though. It was actually.
So what happened? So you dropped a note in this company that makes high-end men's shirts. Said, "Hey, we want to
like, hey, we're doing a People of Richmond series. Would love if you'd." And so I showed up in the Ledbury shirt, one of the Ledbury shirts that I have, and they were like, "Is that Ledbury?" And I said yes, and so they didn't make me change.
They didn't. You didn't even do it.
So easy.
Okay.
But no, it was actually. So I got there, and Bill Martin was there, wrapping up his shoot from the Valentine. So we caught up for a bit, and then Dean Giavos from Stella's and like the new spot that he's opening was right after me. And so it was a cool kind of just connecting with, I think the CEO of Gelati Celesti had been there previous and just left a bunch of ice cream. So I got 2 little pints of ice cream, and my mom was around the corner from the studio. So I took her some ice cream, and I looked like a great son as a result of this shoot is I think the point. But no, it was cool to catch up with some folks that I know and have kind of run in similar circles with over the course of years, but haven't caught up with in a little bit. And so, just like hearing what people are up to, and then seeing some of the creative spaces in Richmond. We were at this little studio over on North Side, which name is escaping me, but it was a cool little pocket that I wouldn't have expected was on Brooklyn Park Boulevard. And yeah, it was a world that I don't play in as often as I'd like to, and I just got to peek into it, and I had fun. And I got to come back to this world, and I probably enjoy this more. But Ledbury, appreciate the little escape from the mundane.
And just to be clear, we have not been paid for this post, which is the genius of this is they just lean into his ego and go, "Did you want your photograph taken?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." Another involuntary sponsor of the week, Postcard Cabins by Marriott, recently acquired or integrated to the Marriott platform.
Is Postcard the brand name, or is it an adjective for the cabin?
I mean, I think in the realm of just getting to the heart of what the product is, it is fundamentally the ability to stay in a place that you take photographs of. So it's high-end trailers. So imagine a camper that's really a square box that looks like a cabin. And inside of it, the best way I can describe it, it's like a Citizen M hotel room. But it's fully sewered in.
Compact.
It's in nature. I'm using inverted commas for nature.
On that,
Air quotes on the nature. And there's a campfire there, and it's pre-lit. It's sort of Instagram ready. And so I was a deep skeptic of this.
Yeah.
We went away for a night. Yeah. And Elizabeth loved it. She was like, "See this big window from our air-conditioned trailer? This is camping." I was like, "It's not." She's like, "It's as far as you're ever getting me." But it was great, actually. But I will say, I swear, and I'm going to hound our friends at Marriott on a Hillary Cook, if you're listening to this, I want an answer. Jennifer Abuzaid is also, why don't we work for you anymore? Maybe we upset Marriott. Anyway, this is brought to you by Hilton.
We didn't do anything.
No, anyway, so we went on they've got this sort of little nature trail. but there weren't any leaves on the trail. I think they leaf blow the trail.
No.
But it's like through the woods. It's a few miles. But there were lots of leaves either side, but there weren't any leaves on the trail, and there weren't many people hiking it, so it wasn't that. That's what I want to know. Do they leaf blow the postcard cabin hiking trail?
That's not a thing. I hope that's not a thing.
All right, moving on.
Okay. Moving on.
The Zeitgeist.
We got a lot here. There's a lot to. I have a couple things I want to talk about.
Okay. Why don't you be in charge? I'll let you be in charge this week.
Oh,
there you go.
That's sweet.
Special edition.
There's a trailer talking about how I'm in charge every week. We can just run that back right now.
It's your studio. You be in charge. Okay, then. Well, just this episode and the next one, and then all the ones after that.
Okay. I want to talk about Gen Z for a second. There is conversation every generation about the next generation. Right? I remember when it was about my fellow millennials and I, and about how we needed trophies and we needed all of the things, and we were spoiled and helicopter parented.
Just to be clear, none of that has changed.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's just a younger generation. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they get a good and a bad rap. So I've heard a handful of things that Gen Z is high IQ or high EQ rather. I think that feels
so
true.
High emotional quotient. Yeah.
Low tolerance for abuse of authority. That's interesting, and I find that to be true. And probably as a function of them being what seems like unimpressed, but what presents as being disrespectful. So I'll kind of park that description, and then I'll go to research. This is from Stanford's Center for Advanced Study in Behavioral Sciences. So they kind of look at some generational differences, and then some behavioral economics and psychology. It's kind of a blend of all of the above. In summary, a typical Gen Zer is a self-driver who deeply cares about others, strives for a diverse community, is highly collaborative and social, values flexibility, relevance, authenticity, and non-hierarchical leadership. And while dismayed about inherited issues like climate change, has a pragmatic attitude about the work that has to be done to address those issues. All right, so we have just it's kind of like a horoscope when you just say nice things and it feels like it applies. Gen Z is not a monolith, all of the caveats appropriate, but also I think you can talk about generations monolithically and probably be fair about some cultural zeitgeisty pieces. So I look at Gen Z and I think about the disconnect between leaders today and this generation. And I want to go back to the description I started with, which is anecdotal, observational. I heard somebody describe Gen Z as this way: high EQ, low tolerance for abuse of authority, unimpressed. And I paused for a second and I was like, that could reasonably describe me, except with the distinction that I know better than to show it. That's the high EQ, sure. Low tolerance for abuse of authority, my propensity to tell people to fuck off probably fits there. But the unimpressed piece is, I think, where they get a bad rap. Have you heard the term Gen Z face or Gen Z expression?
Yeah.
It's like you say a thing and there's nothing.
Yeah.
They're like, why would I respond to that? And
otherwise known as my dining table. Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is part of why I want to
No,
talk
it
about
fits.
it.
Absolutely
You've
fits.
got your gaggle of girls. And so do these observations feel accurate, or at least directionally, and then I've got to kind of follow on to that.
Yeah, and I think we can embrace it as well.
Okay.
Is that there are some really good attributes to this. They're coming into this with the assumption that the gap between what is being said and the reality is enormous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you walk into many buildings today, you still have values on the wall that belong to the Obama generation, and they're like, "Oh, have you seen outside? Have you looked at this?" I think the environment is really central and critical to them. They are feeling it, right? We've almost been the boiled frogs, almost literally, in terms of climate change, but they're seeing just all of this stuff happen. But they're also, diversity is just a given to the point that they almost don't care. Right? It's just a non-event for most of, I would say, urban Gen Z, urban and suburban Gen Zers. But yeah, just kind of expecting and wanting more, and seeing that the rules haven't really helped others. And if you think about headlines this week, I know Candace and Alan are probably going to talk about all of these AI-based layoffs. We'll let them do Envoy Performance Podcast. Subscribe, and you can hear people who get on a lot better than we do.
Yes.
But also smarter. They'll talk about that. But they're living in that environment where, well, what should I do at college? Well, it doesn't matter, because who the hell knows what the world's going to be like in 4 or 5 years.
So that the rules don't matter thing is interesting. And that's kind of the point I was making. I was like, that description of Gen Z could apply to me. I know better than to show it. And then the know better piece is actually, I think, going to be really critical for how leaders today engage with the new workforce. It's Gen Z is not even new into the workforce anymore, but the tail end of Gen Z is getting there before we've gotten into Gen Alpha and kind of stepping into the workforce. They're showing it. Like, the unimpressed. I find myself unimpressed often.
Sorry, we didn't address it. Yeah, you're that.
Yeah. But the disrespectful piece that comes with Gen Z is a function of whether or not you have a poker face.
Well, everything is relative. Disrespect relative to whatever. By Japanese standards, we disrespect our elders constantly.
Right.
By Gen X standards, like the lack of...
Yeah. And so they're like, whether or not you're unimpressed and your face shows it, right? Like, there's, because the term resting bitch face, right?
Yeah.
Like, RBF. And I think there's like a gendered piece that comes with that. But if we like make it a more neutral statement of somebody, Obama was like notorious for not being able to mask his emotions. There's this like, there's an element of decorum of, you can be unimpressed, just like have a decent poker face. And back to your comment, the rules don't matter. I just think we've thrown some of those rules out the window with this generation. They're like, why would I exert the energy to pretend that I give a shit about a thing you're telling me, or pretend that I am impressed by a thing that I'm not? Why would I spend that energy for you, who I might respect, maybe, or you haven't earned my respect, or fill in blank. And so, like, I think the polite nature and probably elements of decorum of like, I wouldn't, especially to a superior, wouldn't not respond to a thing or not react to a thing. I'm just like, that's a poor use of my energy, and you haven't earned my response or my reaction to that. And it's interesting, I think, the positioning and where that comes from, because in some points it's just disrespectful, and in others it's I have to engage with this demo wildly differently.
So imagine being in Gen Z, though, and hearing that. Like, they do hear, you're disrespectful, but then just observing life, the way people drive post-COVID. I was on Amtrak day before yesterday, going up to DC. I'm in business class, and it's just full of old white guys playing their phones at full volume.
Yeah.
Not the kids.
Yeah.
And there's a guy opposite me, and he's playing some right-wing diatribe about hundreds of millions of dollars of condoms going to Gaza. I'm like, hey, can you turn that down? Also, it's not that fucking Gaza. It's the Gaza in Africa. And he looked at me. I was like, oh, you didn't know where the original Gaza was, so it doesn't... You probably thought it was in Africa. Oh, fuck it. Just turn it off. Uh-huh. He was also petrified in the moment because what the kids aren't seeing is self-policing, right? So they're actually not seeing generations above.
Yeah.
Say, hey, maybe you shut up, you sit down, maybe you follow the rules. Literally the policy of Amtrak, right? Mm-hmm. This isn't like live by my rules. This is the rules of the organization that runs it. I'm not seeing a bunch of role modeling. And then, and I feel for them. And there's also that back to the face. I saw that face on like 10 Gen Z girls a few weeks ago. No, it was a week ago. Field hockey match. One star player on the team. She's the only black player on the team. Mm-hmm. Ref and crowd of opponents just coming down hard on her. And there wasn't even protests. The girls just looked at each other like, of fucking course. And I felt that was more powerful than, hey, ref, you seem to be coming down on our star player who happens to be black. You know, there wasn't any of that. It was just like, yeah, of course, this is what's going to happen. And they sort of, you could just feel them rally. And I feel like they're looking at this and going, well, how did... I mean, you can kind of look back and go, how did Me Too work out for you? Yeah. How's that going, everybody? Yeah. How did... And that's not a criticism of those movements. There are separate criticisms of those movements. But, I mean...
So I bring all of this up because I have had a couple interactions with Gen Z over the maybe past year and a half that have I've struggled with a little bit, candidly. And so I think as leaders, it is part of our job to, as I heard, quote, evolve to be relevant, end quote, for future generations. That's not a profound statement. But I remember I was lecturing in an innovation and entrepreneurship class at our Center for Innovation up the road. And I had a bunch of students come up and like they're young, entrepreneurial, and wanted to talk to an entrepreneur. And you and I have talked about this before. It wasn't about me as like they should worship me. It was you have somebody who is in the role that you aspire to be in, and there's an opportunity there. And I think your generation and my generation would take that and capitalize, like the ones who are kind of at the front end of hustling. And so ostensibly these kids who have self-selected in and are juniors and seniors in this program are like, should be there. And I had a student come up and he's like, hey, I would like to tell you about my my company, but, you know, I'm just kind of not feeling it today. Like the vibes are off. So can I email you? And I looked at him and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Because what my head, my heart, and my gut all say is, sure, you can email me. You might not get a response. I'm standing in front of you right now. And if you like want to go capitalize on business opportunities and build a thing, you should, despite the vibes not being conducive, have a conversation and at least put yourself in a position for me to want to respond to your email. He's just like, hey, man, not feeling it. So like, would love to take your time another time when you might not have it to bend your ear. And what I don't know, what I haven't connected with Gen Z is whether or not they appreciate the consequences, right? Like, if you don't pitch now, you may not get a response later. If he's just like, fuck it. Or if the expectation is, well, I told him the vibes weren't good, he should respond to me later. And that's what I just don't know. I would love to get some clarity there. But what I see for us as leaders is there are these things that pop up that we would have responded to differently. And I know that I get frustrated. I'm like, if you don't want to handle this way, you just won't get the value. And my struggle is, should I recalibrate because this is the audience? And the answer is, I think academically, yes. It's hard.
So why do you have the look on your face looking at the look at my face? What do you think's coming?
Just fucking say it.
Sheer, on behalf of the 200 Gen Xers listening, sheer, unadulterated fucking joy of listening to a millennial say that.
Yeah, look, this is the dilemma of every generation,
everyone,
ever, right?
No, but I think and it's back to your mom's rule. She or he who has the gold makes the golden rules, right? Makes rules.
Yeah,
that's the golden rule. Sorry,
it is.
Is if I were to advise, I am advising Gen Z right now.
Yeah,
it is get a job, go to the office early. Also, bugger off during the middle of the day. Go for a hike. It doesn't matter. Nobody will notice. And stay slightly late. If you do those things and follow some procedures, carry a notebook. Actually, just those.
Carry a notebook, show up early.
You'll be a senior vice president before you know it, and you retire at 30 because the bar is so low and the expectation's so off that if you come even close to pleasing somebody, my generation or increasingly your generation, you're going to nail it. But that said, they are coming through and they're shaping those rules. I think it's going to be interesting, and it's not hard to empathize, almost in a way that it wasn't hard to empathize with kind of the 9/11 generation, which I think of as you all. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely, it is noticeably different. One other thing, social media across the generations, I think is really interesting as well. I feel like my crew, we're just like accidentally taking photographs in our pocket and posting it to Instagram. If you just stay on Instagram, your crew, it's still very, very curated. Curated is crazy. The kids, Gen Z, it's all photo dump and then drowning in positive comments because they've seen what it's done to you lot. And so Kate came back from her aunt's wedding in Italy. She didn't post anything while she was out. Oh, the other thing they do is they post photographs that aren't that complimentary of themselves. Right? Yeah. It's not perfection out there. So they do the photo dump
I wonder
it's
how
them,
curated
it's
that
the,
is.
well,
but
it is. It's a different form, right?
Yeah, I
so
feel that.
it's
Yeah.
them looking great, also them looking a bit schlubby from time to time.
Yeah.
And then what you see, especially amongst the girls, is pounded on with "You look amazing, you look great, you look great."
Yeah.
The only negative comment, there was like 70 comments on Kate's post, was from her.
Was it you?
No, it's from her aunt who said there aren't any pictures of me. It's from a millennial.
Yeah. Although that is trickling in. Like I'm seeing more positive
Just we're gonna
millennials
drown it
hyping
out.
each other up. It's cool. So I'll land here because I think this is related. Have you heard of lie flat or lying flat culture?
I read about. I didn't quite understand. This is a Chinese thing.
It's
right?
a Chinese. So it's a speaking of social and kind of the next gen social trend among Chinese youth, characterized by a rejection of relentless work and consumerism in favor of a simpler, less ambitious lifestyle. That's how it's defined via the interwebs. But I've seen like these lying flat consultants pop up, which is basically here's a place you can go live at a significantly lower price point and breathe. It'd be like if you were in New York City in the middle of hustle culture, as you know, I existed for quite some time, and somebody told you about Richmond, Virginia. And they're like, hey, you can have a front yard and a backyard and like 5 times the size of your shoebox for a third the price. And like all you have to do is step off of the, bullet train you're on in New York City to like fight to exist. And everybody was like, fuck yeah, let's go do that.
And then you could add to it, and you could say, and you could go there, and you could live in the second or third tier city where everything's just a little bit slower, and then you could go to this building that's opposite the Sheets in a parking lot and walk in there, and they'll have exactly the same demands as what you had in New York. Actually, more.
Yeah.
And then you'll be miserable, and we'll move on.
Yeah. But it's this really interesting, like the hustle culture that, and like I know hustle culture is like almost.
But no, I mean China has made this huge, unimaginable economic leap. I mean, like we would go to Shanghai today, and the joke is that Shanghaiers arrive at JFK and think they've arrived in a third world airport, and it's the new JFK.
Yeah.
Like it's not. We are so behind from where the Chinese are, or at least the major cities. But it's come at this huge cost. Mm-hmm. This society that was based upon these Confucian ethics was ground together. This is back to age. So during my gap year, I spent a little bit of time in China, and it was pretty much everything. But you'd be in Beijing, and there were BMWs. Mm-hmm. There was the BMWs from the elite, but there was still a lot of people riding bikes. Riding bikes, and that transition of the past few decades.
Like cool
no,
bike,
like riding bikes because that's all you can afford
to
ride bikes. And it's just come at a huge cost. This phrase about working in Silicon Valley again today, of 669, whatever it is that's just Chinese life. Yeah. And I think it's good. I think it's good for them. Lie flat.
I think we're seeing some of that. That's partly that's why I related it to Gen Z. I think Gen Z is like, I mean, do I have to do again, the rules are broken. Do I have to do all of that? And it's not as explicit as lie flat, but I think we're seeing some of that rejection of you have to do this to exist and to be successful. That recalibration, I think, is also interesting. This passive resistance and pursuit of inner peace over material gain. Again, as lie flat as described, I see a lot of those kind of core tenets in Gen Z. And I think as leaders, we're going to have to navigate how hard we push, what we expect, what we ask for, and if they give a shit. I don't think it's all bad.
Can I just suggest a flaw in this research, though? And it's not the research itself, it's the center. So the Stanford Center for Advanced Study in Behavioral Sciences, CASBS. If you study behavioral sciences, you need an acronym. Like that abbreviation, CASBS? Like, so surely it should be Center for Advanced Study in Behavioral Underground Sciences, CASBUS. Behavioral Advanced Science, CASBS. But you wouldn't work in behavioral economics and know that that's what to name it.
Well, I think they should rock the CASBS.
I'm going to try to get it to cannabis somehow.
You'll get there. You just keep trying, buddy.
You do the podcast, I'll do that.
What's next? You've got a note about Japan's PM.
First woman prime minister in Japan. That is a big deal. That is a big deal for that country. I'm going to destroy the name, I'm sorry. Prime Minister Sanae Takichi, who has already handled her first visit from she's handled her first visit. Come out the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
The negotiating genius that raises tariffs only to have victories by reducing the tariffs, negotiating reductions in tariffs that you imposed in the first place. Yes.
Yeah, it's she's a big fan of Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, she's
Interestingly enough,
sort of
which is
the
pretty
Iron
cool.
Lady of Japan.
Yeah.
Which, look, Japan, at least in international affairs, could do with. Japan needs to let go of its pacifist constitution. There's a lot of work to do to get ready for whatever is coming.
I also want to note, because these are the things I care about, alongside all of the accolades of Japan's first female PM. She owns an original Mark III Toyota Supra that she's been driving to work for 20 years. Yeah, like, it's fucking clean, too.
Okay.
It's
There's
a
vote
beautiful, beautiful 91 2.5 GT twin-turbo Toyota Supra. And if that's not the most Japanese PM thing to do, is just rock a pristine, new, old Supra. I love it.
We should go to Japan. We should do ERR on the road.
You're supposed
Japan's
to be
amazing.
in Japan, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm not sure we'll go on that. Well, we'll see. We'll see. That might do. But we should go. We should just go for a wander and meet the locals.
I would love
all
that.
200 million of them.
Very Bourdain.
So back to national security. Japan has this. So Japan has a pacifist constitution that was written post World War II with a lot of help from the United States to make sure that Japan didn't rearm and become a threat to the world. But obviously the rise in China and a lot of tension between China and Japan. And so the Japanese Defense Force, as it's called, builds these things. You look at the Navy, you go, that looks a lot like an aircraft carrier. And they go, no, it's a helicopter carrier for use in emergencies. Look, there's only helicopters on it. And you go, but you have F-35s. Yeah.
And if you needed to put them on
they could land on that, right?
Oh, of course.
They could do that. And so they're starting to loosen the rules. But they kind of saw what was coming. And good luck to them.
Let's stay there and go to Envoy Tank Radio. So I saw a stat that stood out to me, and I know Candace and Alan are going to be talking AI through the lens of kind of employment, but AI through the lens of armament. AI drone swarms or clusters and long-range AI-targeted munitions have for the first time surpassed high-price standard long-range munition and weapons. Like, so for the first time, we're seeing this shift. And you and I have talked about Ukraine quite a bit. It's driving that shift. But I think what was really cool, kind of through the lens of both military and innovation, is manufacturers in Ukraine can now be both the low-cost provider and the innovator at the same time because the feedback loop is that tight. We put a thing on the battlefield that works or it doesn't, and it comes back immediately to us. Especially because of kind of the point system for purchasing. It's like they'll either buy it again because it worked or they won't. And we will get that feedback immediately and can make for a better weapon. Like for your standard traditional military leaders today, and I know we've got Special Ops Command and kind of looking at the non-traditional war fighting, but for your standard military leader, like, you're just not fast enough. Like, we're not fast enough.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
This is called Envoy Tank Radio because this section is called Envoy Tank Radio because it was all about getting tanks to Ukraine, and it was all about, do they need them? Is the Abrams personnel carrier just as good? Is the Challenger 2 worthy of it relative to the Leopard? They are all irrelevant. Yeah. Like, we're going to park somewhere. There are probably food trucks right now in tanks. Like, it's just...
Is this Envoy drone radio?
So
now?
moved on.
Yeah,
it's Envoy droning on radio. Anyway. And what's next? And it's like World War II. It's like, what are we going to do about the German planes coming over? We'll invent radar in 6 months, right? We'll just do these things. And I don't know. I'm worried for Ukraine, though. I mean, it is the willingness of Russian leadership to suppress its society, feed it fake media, and have casualty rates that are just unimaginable anywhere outside of North Korea is just...
Have we... I caught the first end. I haven't caught the resolution or whether there is one. Do you know if we've resolved the... basically using frozen Russian assets to purchase
They didn't.
munitions?
They bailed. The European Union bailed at the last minute.
Bailed. Have
and
they
there's a big...
recalibrated?
Look, if Putin is seeking to break up the European Union, there's some success in it, in the sense of they're now looking at, so European Union decisions, one of the frustrating things about it is that it's a lot of decisions require a full vote, like a unified vote. And of course, you've got a couple of countries, particularly with Hungary, that are more pro-Russia, that won't vote in favor. So they're moving towards majority voting in different strips and all those kinds of things. But we're basically, I mean, you now look at the incursions of Russian aircraft, drones, or anything other into NATO airspace. When you look at, there are now very strong rumors that recent attacks on the British Prime Minister's house was driven by Russian intelligence, and that they're trying to suppress that information so as not to generate more outrage than they want. This goes back to, remember a few weeks ago we were talking about you just find some loser and pay him some money to go do a thing, and it's completely unpredictable and untraceable. It's gig work for terrorism. So it's not that Russians did it. It's that Russians funded it, sponsored it, provoked it, did whatever it was.
Requested it at this point.
I mean they're agents. This is no different from that, that evil human in the days of Al-Qaeda that would get in the young woman's head and convince her to be a suicide bomber because her children would be well, or the young man who'd go to heaven and be gifted with X number of, women So this is, Russia is not winning the war. It's winning something, though. And the chaos in the United States, which I think can't be described as anything else other than just absolute chaos here right now, is that's always in their interests too. I don't know why Gen Z are like they are.
With gestures to everything.
Hey, let's just while we're on Tank Radio, there's a bit of a bridge here to travel.
I was going to say it's like that season where everybody's on the road in the run-up to the holidays, like the sprint. We've got a lot of our colleagues
Well, if
on
we
the
wanted
road.
to go Christmas shopping in Christmas, Lockheed and NASA have a new product for us, the X-59. You'll like this.
Can we get one?
So they just did the first prototype flight of the quiet
Yeah,
supersonic aircraft that flew from Palmdale Air Force Base up to our friends at Armstrong. Circled a fair bit, landed safely. So this is a supersonic aircraft
Mach 1.4 cruise
that makes
speed.
a sound. I forget how they sound, but it's like a bump. It goes bump, but it's nothing. But so no supersonic boom.
But not that sonic boom,
Which means,
a sonic thump is what they're calling it. Lowered volume and muffled, no louder than a slamming car door. That's cool. We should get one for Christmas. I got a skateboard for my birthday. I want an X-59 for Christmas. I would take a combined Christmas New Year's gift if we needed to spread it out.
And then I saw this today. It's sent by a friend. I just thought this was a great phrase. The mental health benefits of a weekly Bourdain day, i.e. walking around, trying a new restaurant, chatting and drinking by 2, cannot be overstated.
I agree with that. That's how we met.
So thought for a holiday edition.
Oh.
What do you mean it's how we met?
Well, I used to do Bourdain days. You were working.
Oh, you did?
I would just pop up in the studio. I would just
show up.
I would hang out at like a handful of the people who have like been part in corners of my career have often come about because I used to just show up at their office.
Yeah,
I wasn't drinking.
The first few months we knew each other,
Yeah.
I just thought it was charity. That it was a homeless guy that we were feeding and clothing.
No, I was
disappointed
significantly better dressed than in my
CSR report
career.
of the firm at the time.
Yeah, right.
No, a Bourdain day. So I have a thought.
Okay.
What if this year, for Christmas, we do Santa and Elf, but we don't do anything. We just do a Bourdain day.
Bourdain day.
Like, let's just roam the city.
I'm in. If anybody wants to join, you do have to wear Christmas garb.
Yeah.
That's our only rule. Christmas attire, ideally an elf.
Except Candace, who loves dressing up. She's not allowed
Candace,
to dress up.
You have to wear
that would
street
kill
clothes.
her.
That's
That would
hilarious.
kill her.
I like
Yeah.
it. Very cool. Hey, we've got like 2 or 3 other things on here,
Okay.
just for those who are
All
on the road. My plug is for iPads, for executives, like an iPad Pro with a keyboard specifically. I was actually talking to a fellow traveler who's sitting next to me on a flight last week, and she had her iPad. And like, there are things that, as we talk about, things for big screens and things for small screens. I find that when you're only allowed a small screen, i.e. an iPhone, but you need a big screen, our iPads are actually some of the best for the amount of delays that we have on the road. Sitting on the tarmac, having an iPad with 5G, instead of being able to have my laptop open because we're taxiing, I can handle 98% of what I need to.
Marginal time. We talk about this on our
marginal
programs.
time is huge. So yeah, the $1,000 I think for the new iPad Pro. You add a case for $250 or so. The keyboard Pro. That's the cost of a laptop, but I would say incredibly well spent. The ROI on that for just time on tarmac, when you don't have Wi-Fi but you're in a club, a lounge, or in the terminal, and having 5G to connect, I couldn't recommend it enough. Not an involuntary sponsor, not a paid plug, just for those of you trying to squeeze a little bit more out before you watch Netflix, your iPad's going to get you there.
That's a genuine recommendation.
Well, absolutely.
Clawback time. It's worth that $1,000.
You and I have either broken or lost iPads and had them replaced within 24 hours. Yeah, it's
that's
important.
a thing you made me do, and it does work.
Yeah.
So listen, this was not a sponsor by Apple, but we are sponsored by Ledbury Shirts. So if you go to ledbury.com to order your shirt, put in the discount code Grumpy Old Millennial for 10% off. I'm Scott Wayne.
And I'm Ace Colwood.
And this was On Boy Recorded Radio.